Hi everyone, in today's video I'll show you how to install the MikroTik RouterOS on VMware so you can easily create and configure a virtual router right on your computer. First, let's take a look at the network diagram we'll be setting up. In this example, MikroTik will be configured with three network interfaces, namely Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, and Ethernet 3. Ethernet 1 will be assigned to Virtual Network 8 and configured in NAT mode. This interface will act as the internet connection for the entire virtual environment, allowing MikroTik to access external networks through VMware. Ethernet 2 will be assigned to Virtual Network 11 and configured in host-only mode. This interface will act as the local network, LAN, allowing other virtual machines in the same network to connect to MikroTik for internet access or internal communication. Ethernet 3, similar to Ethernet 2, will be used to simulate a second LAN network and assigned to Virtual Network 12. This interface allows us to emulate an additional internal network, useful for testing, routing, or subnet segmentation when configuring MikroTik. With this configuration, you can easily simulate a real network environment, perform lab exercises, and test routing functions of MikroTik directly within VMware. Next, make sure that VMware is already installed on your computer. If you haven't installed it yet, please check the installation guide video linked below in the description before continuing. Next, download the Winbox tool and the MikroTik RouterOS installation file for VMware. To download, please visit the official MikroTik website. Download the Winbox tool here. This software allows you to connect to and manage MikroTik RouterOS easily. Next, to download RouterOS, select Cloud-Hosted Router. Then, select the VMDX file for VMware and choose the RouterOS version you want to use. In this example, we'll go with version 7 stable. After downloading, extract the RouterOS file you've just downloaded. Inside the extracted folder, you'll find a virtual disk file. This is the file we'll use to create the MikroTik virtual machine in VMware in the next steps. Alright, next we'll configure the virtual networks in VMware to match the network diagram we created earlier. First, I'll use VMnet 8, configured in NAT mode, to simulate the WAN connection for MikroTik. This virtual network allows the virtual router to access the internet through the host computer. Next, I'll use VMnet 11, configured in host-only mode, to simulate the internal LAN 11 network. This network allows other virtual machines to communicate with MikroTik, just like devices in a real local network. Next, VMnet 12 is configured similarly to VMnet 11 and is used to simulate the LAN 12 network. Alright, that's it. We've finished setting up the virtual networks for our network diagram. Next, we'll configure IP addresses for these VMnets on the host machine. Assigning static IPs to each virtual network makes it easier to identify and manage the network ranges when MikroTik connects and ensures stable communication throughout the simulation. We'll now assign a static IP address to each VMnet on the host machine corresponding to the network range we defined earlier. This ensures that each virtual network has its own dedicated subnet, allowing MikroTik to communicate properly with the LAN. Similarly, for VMnet 12, we'll also assign a static IP address on the host machine, corresponding to the LAN 12 network we defined earlier. As for VMnet 8, we'll leave it with the default settings, since DHCP is already enabled for this network. Alright, we've just finished the preparation for installing MikroTik on VMware. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to support my channel. Now let's open VMware to start creating and setting up the virtual machine. Here, in the Guest Operating System section, select Other, and for the version, choose Other as well. Next, name your virtual machine and choose a storage location on your drive, where you want to save it. Next, keep the default settings and click Next to continue. After creating the virtual machine, click Edit Virtual Machine Settings to adjust the hardware configuration accordingly. First, set the RAM size for your MikroTik virtual machine, so you should increase it to at least 512 megabytes or higher for better performance. Next, configure the number of processors for the virtual machine. Depending on your system's hardware, you can choose one or more. Next, remove the default hard disk that VMware automatically created for the virtual machine. Then click Add, select Hard Disk, and click Next. Next, choose Use an existing virtual disk, then click Next. Here, browse to the RouterOS VMDX file that we downloaded and extracted earlier. Then click Finish to complete adding the disk. Next, remove the CD drive, since we won't be using it during the MikroTik installation. Now comes the important part. For the first network adapter 1, select VMnet8, which will emulate the WAN network according to the diagram we configured earlier. Next, we'll add a second network adapter to emulate LAN 11, and this adapter will be connected to VMnet 11, which we configured earlier. Next, we'll add a second network adapter to emulate LAN 11, and this adapter will be connected to VMnet 11, which we configured earlier. To make the setup work properly, ensure that each network adapter is correctly assigned to its corresponding virtual network as we configured earlier. Alright, we've finished configuring the MikroTik virtual machine on VMware. Now we can start the VM to begin the installation process. The default login for MikroTik is admin with no password. Next, when MikroTik asks, "Do you want to see the software license?" choose N to skip viewing the software license. Next, set a new password for the admin account to enhance security. Enter your desired password, then press Enter to confirm. Alright, we now have a fully functional MikroTik server ready to run on VMware. You can connect using Winbox to start configuring it as you need. Winbox will automatically detect the MikroTik device on the network. Simply click on any address shown in the list to connect to the router using Winbox. Then, enter the username and password you created earlier, and click Connect to log in to the MikroTik management interface. Alright, we've successfully installed and connected to MikroTik. In the next video, we'll configure the basic settings such as DNS, interfaces, and IP addresses. Good luck, and see you in the next video.